Well, happy Saturday, folks. The real Captain Kirk here. We're live from One Bethlehem Plaza here in downtown Bethlehem here on the 8th of August. Again, it's the end of our 10-day music festival here this weekend. It's been pretty stormy here, and again, cloudy this morning, maybe some afternoon thunderstorms. So it had some impact on attendance here for sure, because again, we've had 2-3 inches of rain here during the festival here. Thought we'd have Sunny here again about the drought, 30-day rainfall trends, and the fires here, obviously making headline news here. Drought remaining pretty steady here. Still got 71% of the country in dry to drought phases, but making steady improvement there in the mid-Atlantic, even our area here in the coastal Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York areas. Again, so drought's improving there, expanding obviously in the west and the Rocky Mountains. But as of right now, we're the most in 14 years for dry to drought phases, 21% above average, 26% versus last year. Again, making steady progress here in the east. Look at the 30-day rainfall trends. You see that here along the east coast here, where we've had much above average rainfall here. So again, it's definitely putting a dent in our drought here in the tri-state, mid-Atlantic, Virginia, North Carolina areas, expanding potentially in parts of the central Rockies. But overall, the U.S. rainfall index here showing about 2% wettest last year, 1% above average, and 18th wettest in 41 years. So again, not extreme drought conditions. Fires, however, are extreme here. We're looking at acres burned, the most in 4 years, 57% versus last year, 42% above average. The bigger impact is just the number of fires. We got 45,502 active wildfires. That's the most in 10 plus years. So pretty crazy here. Obviously, you've heard the headline news of Spokane, Washington being devastated by these fires here again. Whether it's man-made lightning, natural or otherwise, again, the conditions are just ripe for fires here, unfortunately, probably for the next at least a couple months here in the northwest part of the country. You can see that here in the fire smoke map. So our 18-hour smoke map left, and then the Canadian team's 3-day outlook here on the right here. So those big, huge fires in the Washington, Oregon areas. And again, we saw an index here of over 400 and I think 419. That's beyond hazardous. Hazardous is 255. So again, just crazy high pollution with these fires in the Pacific Northwest. Hurricane Center's watching a system coming off Africa. Pretty strong system here, but again, it's going to face a ton of hurdles here. It's getting a lot of wind shear with the El Nino pattern. So we can see it here on the Weather Trends 14-day outlook here. Again, pretty much probably going to be a fish storm here again. So the east coast is probably going to be okay. Do need to watch the system going well south of Hawaii. It may bring some heavy rain to the big island of Hawaii and Maui. So again, that would be kind of a flooding event. But again, the system itself looks to stay way south of the Hawaiian Islands. Look at last week, world summer here, ending 8th August here. Cooler week last week, then warmer this past week here. So 1.7 warmer than last year. 15th warmest in 41 years, above average. Those hot 90-degree days are up about 23% versus last year. About average, near average, and much wetter, 51% wetter, 8th wettest in 41 years. Cool and wet, again, across Canada is helping to put out some of those fires. Still got some big ones up in the Northwest Territories here. Europe, again, back to warmest in 23 years here. So again, the Central Eastern Europe was the hotter spots. Again, that will be shifting probably back to ground zero France. They seem to be in the hot spot here this year. Big map is trends versus last year. Inset maps are the trends versus average. Looking at the severe weather here, again, this season to date here through the 6th of August here. Tornadoes, least in 3 years, still 5th most in 16 years, so down about 6% versus last year. Hail is down in both categories versus last year, below average. And wind cases have been the big winner this year, up 3% versus a year ago and 26% above average, most in 15 years. Looking at the week ahead outlook here again, so the severe weather here is not going to be too extreme, but need to watch from, say, the Nebraska all the way into the western Pennsylvania areas here for this next few days. Again, so the heart of the Corn Belt here, again, getting some much-needed rain. They don't need any severe weather with this, hopefully, but the rain they'll take. We're not going to have the record-shattering crop yields of last year, but close. So maybe just a hair less than last year. That extreme heat, 4th of July, wasn't the best, again, but the rainfall here is certainly good news. So 9 through 15 August here, mid-August. I can see all that rain from Iowa into all through the Corn Belt there. Looking at national temperatures here, we're 0.7 cooler than last year. Still 7th warmest in 41 years, but again, cooler trends versus a year ago. Hot 90-degree days down about 12%. Still 12th most in 41 years. And rainfall up again 2 weeks in a row here. 2% wetter than last year. Wettest in 3 years. 18th wettest in 41 years. So above average on that front again. And again, heavy rain right through the heart of the Corn Belt. Looking at next week here, again, hard to believe the 3rd week of August here, again, 41-year trends here for temperature shows 0.3 warmer than last year, warmest in 3 years, 6th warmest in 41 years. Hot 90-degree days, even though it's warm, it's not excessive heat wave here, so hot 90-degree days are down 22%, least in 4 years, 16th least in 41. So below average, actually, on that front. Precip also below average. We'll see about that. Models have not been doing a great job here with the rainfall here, but down 25% versus last year, third driest in 41 years. That might be a little bit overdone here, but again, unfortunately, where it's hot, it's dry. Oklahoma, Texas, kind of ground zero there for the heat and dryness. And if we aggregate these 2-week world trends here, 9 through 22 August here again, so the general theme, big map here, is trends versus last year, is a cooler theme for the northern tier of the U.S. Into the central U.S. South central ground zero, heat is Texas, Oklahoma, and map inset left is the temps versus average. Looking at the world 2-week precip aggregation here again, so general theme is hot and dry across Europe. Heat's going to shift back into France. They will become ground zero for the heat. Heat here in the U.S. is going to probably again be down in there, Texas and Oklahoma, Arkansas areas where it's dry. So dry, the sun can bake the ground, and it just heats up and heats up. Still pretty wet there across the central South American parts of the coastal Argentina and Chile and those areas. Again, the mountains have just been pummeled with snow this winter because it's winter down under. So with that, folks, again, don't forget you can get this subscription in your email free every Saturday afternoon. Go to weather360.com/the newsletter /captains-log, subscribe, and again, you'll get the email blog as we issue this every weekend. So that, folks, have a great week ahead here. Again, according to the meteorologists, we've only got 24 days of summer left. I like the sun. Sun says we got 45 days of summer left. So with that, have a great week ahead, and we'll talk to you again this time next week.